Cut the music? Oh, we're clipping this to our beards, huh?
Yep.
Alright. To this whole patch, as you said?
Yep.
I don't know if it'll stay there. There's no way it'll stay there, but I can put it on the beard.
Oh, there you go. I might actually be able to do that too.
I can't do this whole patch, but I can do the beard. This whole patch is too much.
Too thin?
Yeah.
Maybe I should do my beard too.
We look like idiots.
No, this looks great.
Oh,
I bet it sounds great.
I'm sure it sounds
No.
great.
Now push this button. There you go.
Okay.
Now you're on. Now we're on.
There's no light.
Push it more. Pressure. There you go.
Alright, now we got a light. We're lit. Lock it is lit.
So I don't know what to do with these. We'll just sit them there, I guess.
We can
Oh yeah, look professional. There we go.
put it on your shirt.
Oh yeah. Just put it. Okay. Got it. All right. So this is hosting 101. We are going to try to give you advice on hosting. I am Joseph Rogers.
I'm Keenan Link.
And we have both hosted shows in the past. Neither one of us claim to be professional
I'm
hosts.
definitely not a pro.
But we have gotten some good advice from other hosts, and we want to pass it down to you because both of us have seen some pretty shitty hosts for comedy shows.
Absolutely. I've seen bad hosts, I've seen good hosts, I've seen mediocre hosts. I don't claim to know exactly what I'm talking about, but this will be real great for like just a total beginner. Somebody like watch this right before you host for the first time.
Yeah.
And you'll leave with at least one good point.
We're hoping that if you've never hosted before, but someone asked you to host, that you would Google or YouTube how to host a comedy show, and you might find this video useful.
Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome. And so number one, these are not in particular order, but one of the things that I think that we both agreed was important was energy. What do you have to say about that, Keenan?
There are a couple of different things. I'll just list off, sub-list. I think energy of your own energy, what you bring. You're the first face people see and the last face people see generally. So bring energy because your job is to get the crowd interested.
Yeah, so don't bring your notes up. Be confident. Look and engage with the audience. Get the audience to engage with you. Have a very good energy that they can pick up off of, and that you can use to lead into your bringing up your first comedian.
Yeah, your own energy and then the audience's energy. Also, I think a little bit of the audience energy comes from the audience focus, right? Because if you're hosting a bar show or like a coffee shop show, you want to make sure that the audience is now interested in the comedy because whatever was going on before probably has their attention. So your job is to get that audience energy started.
Yeah, and when you notice that the audience has a really good energy after the last comic just got done, don't go up there and kill the energy by doing a couple jokes. Just go with the flow and say, keep that round of applause going for your next comedian. Bam! Bring them up and keep that energy going. Modesty
as a host is super important. I don't care if you are the funniest person on the lineup. Keep that shit to yourself.
The show is not about you.
The show is not your show. So, as far as energy goes, I think that's very important to say. Know that your audience is having a good time, and then just keep it going. Because your job at the end of the day is to make sure that one, the show goes well and within time, but two, to make sure that everybody's interested.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing we got here is impress the venue and or staff of the venue, place you're at.
I think impress might be not necessarily the right word, but I don't know a better one. So I think it's important that the venue wants you back. If it's a comedy club, if it's a bar, if it's a coffee shop, if it's a fucking record store, whatever, I think it's very important that the venue wants you back. So I think the key here is don't insult your crowd, don't insult your audience. Definitely do everything in your power to make sure the venue, at least during your time, is not looked upon in a negative light. So I don't care if you're hosting the gnarliest show in the shittiest place in the world. It probably wouldn't be a great idea to be like, fuck this place.
Yeah. And also I think that as far as talking about the venue and the staff, that's really good to do. I prefer a host does that after the last comedian goes up and then gives a shout out to the venue and the staff and just says, make sure to take good care of the staff. let's give it up for all of them and the venue for putting this all together.
Absolutely.
They did an excellent job serving you guys.
Tip your waiters.
Tip your waiters. Take good care of your staff. I prefer not to. Some hosts will do that in the beginning of the show. I prefer not to. I think it's definitely an end show.
I think the only reason it would be like something like that would be okay in the beginning of the show is not a terrible idea to call out the drink special or the food special.
Yeah.
So be like, hey, welcome to blah 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 location at blah blah blah.
And today's drink special is blah blah blah, and then just make it quick.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I don't think we need to be like, hey,
give it up for this place.
Yeah,
blah blah blah. Yeah.
But it's not a bad idea to maybe like if there is food or drink available to be like, hey, this is what we're interested in. Also, I would like to point out that long exhale sigh you just had for sure is causing this mic in your beard. So that's weird.
Probably. I'm trying to edit that out. Know your comic is the next talking point.
No, it's not. He's moving that up.
Yeah.
I think make a lineup is as important as know your comic. Those are
yes.
Right.
So whether you're at an open mic, if you're the host at open mic, and you have to try to make your lineup based on what comic comes up after what comic.
I call it cooking the lineup.
Cooking the lineup,
Here's what's gonna happen at open mic. You're gonna lay out a list, or maybe you got your list ahead of time, like a smart person. But you're gonna let somebody sign up, and everybody's gonna sign up. And I think it's very important that if a bunch of people who never expected open mic comedy came, but were like, hey, now's the time that I'm gonna try it. It's important to then put the people that you know in between those people, because here's the thing. Some of those people are gonna eat dicks. And what you want after somebody who just bombed harder than they will ever bomb and may never do comedy again is somebody who can win your crowd back.
Yes, you want to know which comics eat dicks and which ones, what's the opposite of that?
Kill. You either kill or you eat dicks. Those are the two options, and really, both of them sound like fireable offenses.
Because when I know the comics, I'll make it so it kind of starts out strong, maybe get a couple comics after that are questionable, and in the middle have another strong comic, and then have a strong closer.
Definitely, I agree with you on that. In that, definitely have a strong opener and a strong closer.
Yeah.
I think it was you who told me once that it's like a fish skeleton.
Yeah, which Susan told me. Yeah.
Okay, so a wise woman once told the both of us that a comedy should be like a fish skeleton, and it's big at the end, and it's big in the beginning, and then just little bones in between. And I think a lineup is the same way.
Yes, but you want to have something in the middle. Sometimes it's a fail-safe, like you were saying. If someone loses the crowd, you can have someone that go back in.
Yeah, I think definitely a thing that you'll see in open mics is people that you've never seen before. And here's what my grandfather told me is don't trust people you don't know. So I'm not going to trust a comedian I don't know ever.
Sounds advice.
So let somebody you know who is a solid comedian, or at least has been doing it long enough that they're going to not lose their mind, have them go up after somebody maybe you don't.
Now, having said that, if you're hosting an actual comedy show or a showcase, I think it's
totally
also
different.
important to know your comics. It is totally different.
Yeah.
And when you know your comics in this sense, like their credentials, and you want to get it right, you have time usually before the show to memorize the credentials of these comedians, so you don't need notes, and you can just spit it out and.
Also, say their goddamn name a couple of times.
Yes, practice their name.
Because I was at a legitimate comedy show the other night, and I watched somebody a host that I very much love and respect as a person and a comedian, struggle with a very basic name. And it's not outrageous. We can cut this later and then send it to him specifically. But it was and he mispronounced Aaron Michael Marsh was the comedian, and we're album recording, and he fucked up on the name Michael.
Did he try to say it like?
No, he just he was like Michael, and had the name in front of, had his phone I think, and had the name in front of him, and he said the word Michael wrong, but if he had just known it was Aaron Michael Marsh, what's the difference? You don't need you don't need the phone to look, so just Aaron Michael Marsh. I shouldn't have to tell anybody that a couple of times, and he just didn't know the dude.
Practice the name. Bruce Buffer practices the names for sure.
Yeah, Bruce and Michael Buffer. Also, can we? Pause. The Buffer Dynasty is the weirdest shit in the world. Is like they hammered down
They got it.
that like there's 2 jobs available and they did them both.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. They're great hosts. They know how to get the crowd.
No, they're definitely the best hosts, but I think it's like, I guess it's not that super weird that 2 brothers are in the same profession. What I think is weird is there's only 2 jobs in that profession and they have them.
Yeah.
Alright, so make a line, or...
Okay, I think the next good talking point is rules.
Okay, yeah,
And
we
these are
probably
the
should have done
rules
that.
you usually talk about to the audience.
We probably should have done rules at the top of the show.
Yes.
Yeah, so what are the rules? The rules are keep your table talk to a minimum. Who's your favorite?
That's my favorite.
So why don't you tell us about it?
Even if you have a good crowd that looks like they respect the comedians and wouldn't talk over them, always say keep your table talk to a minimum.
Even if it's a bringer show and you brought all 20 seats in the house. Actually, especially if it's a bringer show and you brought everybody. Because, like, here's the thing. If they know the people on stage, they're going to feel way more comfortable. So tell them to keep their goddamn mouth shut.
Yeah, and then that's like a disclaimer. So if they don't shut up and then they heckle, they're going to get crushed, and that's their own fault.
Also,
they've been warned.
Crush them.
Crush them to pieces.
That's actually bad advice. You should...
not as the host, as a comedian.
Yeah. Yes, as a comedian, this will be for...
Well, that's another good point. If you're the host, don't do crowd work.
I don't totally agree with you.
I think that crowd work should be left up to the pros.
Yes. So here's what I think. I think the problem with doing crowd work as the host is if you do crowd work right the fuck in the front, because now you have your crowd.
True.
Now you have your crowd interested in talking to the
That's
people
true.
on stage.
Especially if it's a problem table and you engage with them right away to get them to shut the fuck up.
And you could have maybe
that
not
could be
even
an exception.
You could maybe not even know they were going to be a problem table, and then you just poked the bear, the sleeping bear.
Yeah.
So I think definitely don't do crowd work up front. I think if the crowd is good and you just had a crowd work comedian or somebody who did a little bit of crowd work, whatever, and you work that crowd a little bit, get them interested, blah blah blah. Maybe you see them like they're all paying their tabs or whatever.
Yeah.
Get their focus back. I don't think that's a terrible idea.
But basically, no heckling.
Back to the rules. Yeah, back to the rules. So definitely keep your table talk to a minimum.
No heckling.
No heckling. Here's my thing. If you're starting to host, and in this case it would typically be an open mic, and you see people heckling, you should be the person that goes to them. And maybe there's a producer of the show or an owner of the venue who will do it too. But I think, in my case, if you see somebody heckling, it's not a terrible idea because they're the face you're the face they saw first. You're the face of the mic.
Mm-hmm.
You go up to them and be like, "Hey, could you cut that out?" And be respectful.
Yeah.
But let them know that somebody is watching, because most people stop when they know that like there is enforcement.
Yes. And also, I like to let the comedian handle it first, but if I feel like the comedian is discouraged, I will wait, but I will say it when I feel like the comedian is
it's a lot of knowing what the
a lot of times the comedian can handle it, shut him down, make a joke out of it, the whole crowd's laugh at him, the heckler feels stupid and they shut up and you move on.
But I have seen
if they take
a whole bunch of people who, no matter how hard they get laughed at, will continue to open their stupid mouths.
Yes, and you should definitely, like you said, let them know that there's going to be consequences.
Yeah, or just ask them to shut up.
Yeah.
Because they think they're helping most of the time, and you just gotta let them know they're not.
All right, so that kind of leads into you are not the star. We kind of went in with that with don't do crowd work.
Yeah.
Unless that calls for it.
So I think this is good. You can, if you feel comfortable talking about that.
Yeah.
You just told me.
I was at a show recently where the host opened with a 25-minute set, and then in between each comic of 6 comics, he did 5 to 8 minutes, and the feature went up and then killed. Did really well. Had the crowd going. Energy was flowing. Host came up. He should have said, "Hey, let's keep that going. You guys ready for your headliner? Let's bring him on. Woo!" Boom. But he's like, "Nope. I'm gonna come up here and do a couple more minutes for you," and then just kill the energy.
Yeah.
So just know that you are not the show, you are not the star. You need to keep the show moving along. You do your 5-10 minutes, whatever you're agreed upon in the show when you host, and then in between each comic, maybe say one thing if it calls for it.
A quick off. I think my thing as a host, and I've done this an innumerable number of times, is that was redundant. I won't do any prepared material between my comics. Like, I won't do any of my jokes between my comics. But if I have a funny thought after a comedian's set,
Yeah.
I don't mind throwing it like, oh, like so and so did this really funny thing,
Yeah.
and then like, oh, I had an idea and blah blah, and just one, I know it's gonna be funny, and it's in reference to the comic that is either just going, or maybe you know the guy who's coming up and like you're like, oh, this person is blank, and then you bring them up.
Yep.
But like, don't, it's not your time in between the comics to do 2, 3, 5 minutes, whatever. Just something funny, get a laugh again, and then bring people up.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's the key.
That is the key.
Also, you almost never want your show to go long, so like you shouldn't be doing too much time in between, anyways.
Yes. Yes.
And there are some cases where like it doesn't matter if you have a long.
Well, the show shouldn't go past 2 hours, and sometimes they're designed to fall between 1:45 and 1:55, and sometimes the host can fuck that up by doing additional time.
Yeah.
And by the time the headliner is getting ready to come up, the crowd is mentally checked out because of all the extra time that the host did and the length of the show overall. So yeah, it's important to be conscientious of.
Also, is that the thing? Your show should never be more than 2 hours?
Yeah.
Is that the thing?
Absolutely.
So Gary Goldman apparently did an hour and a half on his closing set the other night. An hour
Well-
and a half. And like, well, you know, Mary Lou Gambit did 25, and then Rachel Lorendo was hosting, she did 5. So like they were probably still pretty close to 2 hours. But Gary Goldman was just like crushing and did an hour and a half.
There's always exceptions, but as a producer, I never design a show to go more than 2 hours.
Also-
if it goes more than 2 hours on its own naturally because the headliner's crushing, so be it.
Also, shout outs to Rachel Lorendo and Mary Lou Gambit, because I'm just dropping names today, I guess.
Absolutely. No, they're good comics. We should give them a shout out.
Absolutely.
And great host. He's been hosting lately, so that's
Are
good.
we just dropping his name? That's sort of fucked up.
I
We
want
should
there
cut-
to be
cut that.
fairness.
We should cut that out and then drop Richie's name on purpose.
We should
later.
bleep everybody's name.
Oh! Alright, so that's gonna happen. So
Yeah,
we're gonna get the
yeah.
bleeps and now the explanation for the bleeps.
Yeah,
Alright.
gotcha. So let's skip flow of the show. We've pretty much covered that.
We've covered that, yeah.
Align material with your other jokes and
With your
headliner
headliner.
and stuff like that.
you
Basically, what I'm
should
saying
speak,
by
you should
that-
speak on this first because
Yeah.
I don't really agree with you. But
All I'm saying is that if your headliner is a clean headliner and they have family jokes,
then you should kill them.
you should be talking about your dick the whole time. You know, honestly.
Yeah.
Don't talk about masturbation and cum and failed marriages if your headliner doesn't do anything nearly remote with that kind of material.
Yeah, I mean,
Just know your crowd, know your headliner.
I think that's more knowing your crowd than your. I think if I've seen a couple of shows where I've seen a headliner and like their whole supporting cast do very different material, and like I support that. I think the lineup of Coachella or whatever festival shouldn't be like all rap bands or all pop music. So like I think it is fine to have material significantly different, but if the venue and the crowd are going to be like, if your host has never sworn and people know him from a sitcom or whatever, then you probably are not going to want to, like, there's children in the audience.
Yes.
But I think the key there is, it should just be, are there children in the audience?
Yes, but also, if you're a headliner, you have to get a headliner whose jokes are dick, cum, and masturbation jokes. As a host, don't do dick, cum, and masturbation jokes.
Yeah, I think that's more important. I think that's more important is don't step on your people's
Yeah.
material. I think that's, like, absolutely don't step on your comedian's material. If you know, if it's an open mic, again, and that's like, I keep going back to that because that's what the fuck I know. And so you're the pro show guy. Don't step on the people's material if you know what it's going to be. That's super important.
Yeah, and also try to match your material, but not be exactly the same. Is what I'm
Just
trying to get
like the mood. You're talking about
the
thematically.
mood, the PG-13,
Yeah.
the PG.
No, be able to do
R.
G-rated material, PG-13 material, and R-rated
X-rated
material. No, X-rated is bullshit. I think since porn's on the internet, nothing is rated X. I think NC-17 is the new X. But when's the last time you saw one of those?
Anyway, I love this. Leave your fear at the door. I think this should be a good talking point.
So where I come from with that is, it goes sort of back to the energy, is if you go up there and you're timid and you're not ready to do this thing, and like the audience knows it, they're either not paying attention or they're gonna eat you alive. And by doing that, they're going to do that to every other comedian.
Yes.
I think it's very important to with your material to not be afraid with like pushing boundaries. Now, we just talked about aligning your material with a headliner, so you might have to navigate your way through that gray area a little bit. But I think it's important as a comedian, and especially the host, to let people know that they're here to see stand-up comedy. And I think the point of stand-up comedy is to be a little bit, I guess, boundary pushing.
Yes, and when I first started hosting shows, I kind of put myself as the host without the knowledge of how to be a good host. And, you know, I turned my back on the crowd. My energy was lackluster. My jokes were awful. And when you turn your back on the crowd and you're not looking at the crowd, even if you're just looking down as a host, you've already lost.
You've lost, for sure. So I think that a lot of this comes from, let's say that you're the host and you have 5 minutes up front, and your 5 minutes eats dicks. Because as a host, you can bomb. It's inevitable. Like, it's gonna happen for sure sometime.
If it rattles you, fine. Don't let it show.
Don't let it show. And so, like, there's a difference between you doing your time and you hosting the show. And so, like, I think that the impetus for this is when I hosted your show at the Der Block in a little while back, and I broke pretty much all of these rules, and I had a bad set. But I would, without breaking my arm to pat myself on the back, I would say I hosted the shit out of that show beyond having a bad set.
Yeah.
I did a good job as the host. And so what's important there is to, like, if you do that thing where you have a bad set, your job is no longer to be the comedian, your job is the host, and you can still be a good host and have a bad set.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not necessarily a requirement that you have to be funny. You know, you just have to do your job. You have to bring that energy.
If the requirement is that you're not, or well, if we're allowing people who aren't funny to host, then don't do 5 minutes.
I'm not saying that's why you're getting it.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I think
it's okay if you're not funny,
Yeah.
because you are not the show, and it's not bad to have that.
And move on. Like, just you bombed, ignore it and host the show. And, like, that's the thing that I think.
Still be a confident ass motherfucker throughout the entire day.
Yeah, and I think that's what pulled me out of that in that individual instance is I went immediately high energy. I like a wrestling announcer essentially.
Yeah.
And get that audience interested, because now they're like, oh, this guy just ate dicks. But I'm very excited because he is loud and he obviously thinks the person coming next is gonna knock my socks off.
God bless his soul. You know, he wasn't very funny, but he tried. He looked good doing it. Nothing wrong with that. All right. And another thing, if you're the host of a show, okay, maybe you can get away with this at the open mic level. But on the pro level, don't be
even at the open
drunk.
mic. I think even at the open mic level, this is important.
Don't be drunk. Don't be fucked up.
Don't be on too much blow.
Yeah.
Don't be
everything in moderation when it comes to hosting.
Everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah.
I think
you are the after party.
You have to be one. If at any point you think your words are going to slur from any amount of substance intake.
Yes.
And we'll say it's mostly going to be drinking, but
you're already going to lose most of the crowd.
Yeah, so you have to have your diction, so keep your fucking drinks to a minimum.
Your enunciation has to be where it should be.
Yeah, that's what diction is.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I love the English language.
Not enough to know the base of the word dictionary.
No, that's true. I'm not good at taking pieces of words.
Don't be fucked up. Like, it's not that hard. It's like, we shouldn't really have to elaborate on that rule. Don't be fucked up. If you don't know why you shouldn't be fucked up, you shouldn't be the host of the show.
Especially if your comics are sober comics.
Yeah.
Don't get fucked up. Take it easy.
Yeah, well, if you're hanging out with a bunch of sober people and you're drunk, then maybe stop hanging out with sober people.
Maybe you should have told me we'd be sober.
And then, I can't read that much.
How important hosting can be for your resume.
Alright. I've never seen a comedian who knew how to write a resume, but for your credentials, for your, what the fuck they call it, your credits. For your credits.
Especially when you're new. There's a lot of hosting opportunities for new comics because a lot of people don't like hosting. But it's definitely something that if you could try to add to your resume or your experience.
Especially if we're talking hosting a pro show, like hosting, shout out again, Rachel Lorendo, just hosted for Gary Goldman. I think that's awesome.
It's a craft. It's an art in itself, and some people are just really good at hosting and are shitty comedians. But hey, they make good money.
I don't like that you talked about me in front of my face.
No, not at all, bro. Like we said, we're just two dudes who are hosting time to time. No, but the thing is that it's great for the resume. It's a great experience. It's great to have, and don't let it be just what you are as a host, unless that's just you're like a fucking, what do you call it, Asperger's or genius, and all you do is host.
I don't know, just like your mode of success.
Yeah, just don't get, yeah. And,
I don't know how anybody could just like, if they were a comedian, like could just host. Like I don't know anybody who.
Oh, there's a few.
Really?
Like they just have that presence.
Call them out.
Oh man, great hosts.
Richie.
Oh, I was thinking on celebrity level.
Okay, well then let's do one local and one famous.
Like what's his? Like Louis Anderson. He's a great fucking.
Is he?
host. Yeah, great.
I've
host.
never seen Louis live. I think I would enjoy that.
I'm sure he could crush. I've never seen him live myself. I've seen some of his comedy sets, but as a host,
This is a chode.
he is legit as fuck. But yes, it's a good craft to have and to perfect and to take seriously because it can pay. Oh, and dress nice when it calls for it.
Yeah.
Because you are a professional.
There are a couple of like unwritten rules of comedy that people have told me, like you're not supposed to wear shorts on stage. You should like always wear a collar or something.
Yes.
No hats. I've heard this kind of shit.
No
before.
sandals.
Yeah,
Especially no socks and sandals with shorts.
I've heard all this shit before. I think there's a time and a place for all things. I think, and this goes back to know your crowd, know your venue. Dress for the venue. Like if we're talking a bar shit, I don't think jeans and t-shirts a bad idea. But like if you're hosting for somebody with like a big name or even like a semi-big name, like don't look like a slob. Like don't look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like that's not that bad. Like that's just a general rule.
Just try to be the most professional person on the stage.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're the host.
Yep. I agree with that.
And because you are going to dictate and kind of help lead where the show's going to want to go and be.
Don't be a chode.
Don't be a chode. That's the lesson, people. Don't be a chode. Is
But
there anything else?
I don't know, as far as hosting,
Yeah, I think
be funny. I don't know if we actually
be funny. Yeah.
like be funny.
That
Like
helps.
don't be sad if you're not funny, but be
No.
funny. Like definitely just be funny.
It fixes a lot of problems.
Yeah. Especially like if you do have somebody eat a dick and then you go upstairs and you go, "Pah, I'm funny," and then you like that'll help your show a lot.
Exactly. All right, so I think that wraps it up. Thank you, Keenan.
Yeah, thank you, Jack.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Sweet.
Also, I'm sad we never talked about the fact that this was in here.
Hosting 101. Oh yeah, or the shirts. We
Mm.
never brought up the shirts. Like, what the fuck's up with your shirt?
That's me as a baby, dog. That's my party shirt.
Oh fuck.
You didn't unclip it.
Oh.
What made your life a lot easier?
No, I did unclip it. I just didn't. Yeah. Okay.
You doing alright? I can definitely feel mine. Also, half a gram is not microdosing.
No, I'm tripping balls right now.
Yeah, of course you are. Because I can feel mine, and you ate way more than I did. But yeah, you were like, you said something about microdosing, like half a gram is not microdosing.
Well, I was going off of kind of like how many mushrooms it was. But grounded up, it just looked like
By
so
weight,
much
always-
more.
Drugs are weighed for a reason.
Yes.
Always by weight. Always
Yes.
don't go by how many mushrooms it is. That's so weird. That doesn't make any sense. Because density isn't